Art on a plaster surface is steeped in history. Much of the knowledge we have of ancient life comes from wall paintings that have survived in caves, tombs, and inside buildings. During the Renaissance, the term fresco became popular. This Italian term means fresh, referring to the plaster surface on which they were painted. Buon fresco means true or good. In this process, pigments are mixed with water and painted directly onto wet plaster, drying into the surface. Secco, for dry, is the term for painting done on dry plaster. To put something up on a wall assigns supreme importance to it, but fresco painting isn't reserved for wall painting. Plaster is a lovely surface for many traditional and contemporary mediums, including watercolor, fluid acrylic, gouache, colored pencil, pastel, and more. Today I'd like to show you how to prepare a plaster surface for your artwork. You'll need a rigid backing board for support. Canvas painting panels work well because they're acid-free and provide warp-resistant longevity. Next, cut a piece of unprimed canvas. Make it at least 1 inch larger on all sides. You'll need extra to attach to the back of the panel. For example, an 8 by 10 panel would need a 10 by 12 piece of canvas. Center the panel on the canvas and mark the sides with strips of masking tape. Now we'll want to cover our surface because canvas is very porous and a lot of moisture will soak through once we pour the plaster. I've got a piece of cardboard which will make it easy to move about, and if you use a little wax paper, or I also have palette paper, that will keep it from sticking to the cardboard. Now let's mix the plaster. Plaster can be mixed with water in about a 60% plaster to 40% water ratio. You want it to be about the consistency of sour cream. Plan for a minimum of 1/2 cup of plaster per 8 by 10 panel. Scoop from the bowl onto the unprimed canvas. I mixed with my palette knife, so I can use the same tool. You could, of course, use a spoon or a small measuring cup. Now you'll notice that I am staying away from the edges a little bit. This will give me a little decal edge that stands out like a border on my canvas. You could go right to the tape and make a straighter edge if you prefer. You could also use a paint spreading tool to get a little smoother surface. You can also tap it on the surface. This will release any air bubbles that might be in the plaster, bring them to the surface, and it will also level out the plaster, making it smoother. The thickness of the plaster should be about 1/4 of an inch, and if you do end up going over the tape a little bit, I will show you how to fix that later. Don't worry about it. I'm going to set this aside to dry. Now it's good to save any leftover plaster that you have and any scraps of canvas. Go ahead and smooth out some of your leftover plaster. You can use that to test different techniques and materials. After the plaster has dried, it's time to mount it to a panel. On the front side of a panel, apply a generous portion of glue. Place the plaster piece on top of the panel so that the edges align with the corners and the plaster comes in contact with the glue surface. As a final step in preparing the surface, remove the masking tape. Now, this is where it's come over the masking tape a little bit, so in order to remove it, I may have to break off a piece. I also had some over here that came off. You can pull that away from the canvas a little bit. And if there are any rough edges now that just don't match my beautiful deckled rounded edges, I can take a little bit of fine sandpaper and smooth this out again. Turn it over, and now we're going to need to wrap the canvas edges to the back side. You could see why at the very beginning I mentioned to have at least 1 inch of extra canvas. Even more would be fine. Glue the edges and pull the canvas, wrapping tightly to the back side. A strip of masking tape may come in handy to hold in place while the glue dries. Now, let me show you how to cut the corner so that you don't have a fat piece of material rounding it here. Take your scissors, and I can kind of see where it would fold to cut to the corner. And in this direction as well. And you can see where this would fold in a much more tidy manner. Repeat the glue and the stretching and the tape on all 4 sides. The chalky surface provides a fine tooth, which is perfect for so many mediums. Let me just show you how it looks with a few of them. Here's pastel. Colored pencil is beautiful on this surface as well. This is a Conte pencil. Gouache and watercolor is one of my favorites. You can try using a blending stump to push dry media into the surface. Pastels can also be dispersed with a little water, and that helps disperse the pigment into the surface as well. Colors may lighten once it's dry due to the opacity of the plaster. As an option, you can purposefully crack the plaster, giving your fresco a more antique look. You just form the cracks with your hands, as many as you'd like. I like to brush a little brown pastel dust in and around the cracks, just to highlight them and make them stand out a little bit more. Once it's finished and cracked the way that you would like it, follow with a coat of matte medium to bring the cracks back together, seal them, and strengthen the piece. There's more to learn about this project, and there's hundreds more at dickblick.com.